The following accounts are not fiction. They were posted to Reddit by real users. We have not changed the details, we have only found them. My girlfriend and I were lying in bed, scrolling through our phones when the room went dead quiet. Not the normal kind of quiet, the kind where your ears pop, the kind where you realize the fan stopped spinning, the refrigerator compressor cut out, the street outside went silent, and then the ceiling, the entire ceiling, started rippling like water. She grabbed my arm so hard I felt her nails break skin. She whispered, "Tell me you see that too." And I did, we both did, and that's the part that still keeps me up at night, because a hallucination doesn't have two witnesses. Welcome to Synapse Gap. Tonight, 3 stories of reality breaking in front of people who weren't looking for it. Stories so specific, so mundane, so terrifying, they made me question whether this timeline is even the one I started in. This first account was posted to r/glitch in the Matrix 8 months ago. The user ID has since been deleted, but the post is still there. I'll call him Mark. Mark and his girlfriend Sarah had just moved into a second-floor apartment in a quiet suburb of Portland. Nothing special. Beige walls, bad carpet, the kind of place you live in for a year and forget, but there was something wrong with the bedroom. Sarah noticed it first 3 nights in a row. She woke up at exactly 3:07 a.m., not groggy, fully awake, like someone tapped her on the shoulder. She told Mark it felt like the room was asterisk holding its breath asterisk. Mark laughed it off. That was a mistake. On the 4th night, he woke up 3:07 a.m. His phone screen was the only light in the room. He reached for it to check the time, and that's when he noticed the ceiling fan was frozen, completely still, no coasting, like someone hit pause on the universe. He looked at Sarah. Her eyes were open, wide. "You feel that?" she whispered. That's when the ripples started. The center of the ceiling, a 2-foot patch above the bed, began to move, not like air pushing fabric, like water. Concentric circles spreading outward from a point that didn't exist. Silent, perfect, impossible. Mark said his first thought was carbon monoxide. That's how the brain protects itself, reaching for the rational. He could already feel the headline, "Couple poisoned by faulty heater, hallucinated ceiling ocean." It would have been comforting. Then Sarah asked the question that broke that theory. "Mark, what are those shadows in the ripples?" He looked up, and inside the ripples, inside the impossible water of the ceiling, there were shapes. Human silhouettes, moving, walking, doing nothing remarkable at all, just existing in a space that shouldn't exist. They watched for exactly 90 seconds. Mark counted. Then the ripples stopped. The fan started spinning again. The refrigerator kicked on in the kitchen, and the room was normal. Except it wasn't. Sarah hasn't slept in that room since. They moved out within the week. But here's the detail that haunts me. When they packed the bedroom, they found a small crack in the ceiling. Not from water damage, not from settling. A clean hairline fracture in the shape of a perfect circle, as if something had been drilled through from the other side. Mark never posted again, but he replied to one comment 3 weeks later. The comment asked, "Did you feel watched?" His reply was a single word: "I still do." The second story was posted on r/glitch in the Matrix just under a month ago. It currently sits at just over 1,800 upvotes, but I expect it to climb. Because this one doesn't involve shadows or ripples. It involves a stranger who knew exactly what time it was. The poster, let's call her Emily, was driving home from a late shift at a hospital in Chicago. 2:47 a.m. She was exhausted. She pulled into a 24-hour diner for coffee, the kind of place where the floor is sticky and the coffee has been sitting since 1993. She was the only customer. The waitress was young, bored, scrolling through her phone. Emily ordered black coffee and sat in a booth by the window. She remembers checking her phone. The diner had almost no signal, just one bar, enough to see the time. 3:03 a.m. She was halfway through her coffee, maybe 3 minutes later, when another customer walked in. A woman, mid-30s, jeans, a gray hoodie, nothing remarkable, except the waitress didn't look up, didn't greet her, didn't react at all. The woman walked past Emily's booth, and then she stopped. She turned, looked directly at Emily, and smiled, not a friendly smile, a smile like someone who knows a secret you don't. Then she said, "You should get home before 4:00," and walked into the bathroom. Emily sat there frozen. She waited 5 minutes, 10. The woman never came out. She asked the waitress if she'd seen a woman in a gray hoodie. The waitress looked at her like she was insane. "You've been the only one here since I started my shift." Emily's hands were shaking. She threw a 5 on the table and left. She drove home in 12 minutes flat, walked through the door at 3:51 a.m. She locked the door behind her, leaned against it, exhaled. At 3:57 a.m., her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, an area code she didn't recognize. The message had no text, just a photo taken from inside her apartment. A photo of her front door from the hallway, time-stamped 5 minutes earlier. The woman in the gray hoodie was standing in her hallway, phone raised, taking the picture. Emily called the police. They reviewed the hallway security footage for her building. The timestamp matched. A woman in a gray hoodie walked past her door at 3:58 a.m., calmly, slowly, no key, no forced entry. She just stood there, took the photo, and walked away. But here's the part that doesn't fit: the diner security footage. Emily requested it the next day. The cameras in the diner show her sitting alone. They show her talking to herself, gesturing at an empty seat. She sits there for 12 minutes, staring at the bathroom door. There is no woman in gray, no stranger, no warning. There is only Emily, alone, talking to a ghost in a hoodie who was never there. Or a woman who was never on camera but was very real. Real enough to leave a building, drive to Emily's apartment, and stand in front of her door before Emily even got home. Emily changed her locks the next day. She moved out 2 weeks later. She still gets random text messages at 3:00 a.m. No sender, no text, just the sound of a doorbell. But she doesn't answer. She never answers. The third story is different. No shadows, no strangers, just a drawer, a missing desk drawer. But sometimes the quietest glitches are the ones that hit the hardest. This was posted on r/glitch in the Matrix by a user we'll call David. His post starts with a sentence that's become infamous in the subreddit. Our missing desk drawer turned up 12 years later on the street. David and his family lived in the same house in upstate New York for over 2 decades. When he was 17, his parents bought a wooden desk at a garage sale. Nothing special, mid-century, a little beat up. It went in the guest room. But the desk had a quirk. The bottom right drawer didn't fit. It was slightly too narrow, so it wobbled. His mom hated it. One day she pulled it out too hard and the whole drawer came off the tracks. She sighed, set it aside in the garage, meaning to fix it later. Later never came. The family forgot about it. The desk sat drawerless for years. They used the empty slot as a cubby for old magazines. Life moved on. David graduated, moved out, got married, had kids. His parents got older. The garage filled with stuff. 12 years passed. His parents finally decided to sell the house. They spent a month clearing out the garage. David came to help. On the last day, they put a pile of junk on the curb: broken chairs, rusty tools, boxes of old clothes. David was standing on the front lawn at sunset, waiting for the garbage truck when he saw it. Lying on top of the pile, perfectly placed, was the drawer. Not the frame, not the desk, just the drawer. The same wooden drawer his mom had pulled out 12 years ago. Same scratches, same chip on the front edge. It couldn't have been anywhere else in the garage. They had just emptied the entire space. Nothing was left. He picked it up. Inside, there was a single object he had never seen before, a small brass key, tarnished, old. It didn't fit any lock in the house. He asked his mom if she remembered the drawer. She squinted at it. "I forgot that thing existed. Where did you find it?" "On the curb." "That's not funny." "I'm not joking." They checked the garage again. Nothing. They checked the attic, the basement, the neighbor's curb. Nothing. The drawer had simply appeared 12 years after it was last seen. David still has the key. He doesn't know what it opens. He tried it on every lock in his parents' house. Nothing. He tried it on his own house. Nothing. He keeps it on his nightstand because he feels that throwing it away would be disrespectful to whatever put it there. The most popular comment on his post asks, "Did the drawer come back or did it never leave? Did you step into the timeline where it was never lost?" David's reply, "I don't know, but sometimes at night I hear a drawer slide open in the dark and I lie very, very still." So here we are back in our own rooms, our own ceilings, our own furniture. And I have to ask you the question that every glitch story ends with. When was the last time you checked the corner of your eye? When was the last time you saw something that shouldn't be there and decided to ignore it? These three people didn't ignore it. They posted, they shared, they asked the internet, did this happen? Was I awake? Am I alone? Their stories are still up. You can read them yourself, or you can turn off the lights, pull up the blankets, and pretend you never watched this. But the ceiling is still there, and some ripples don't stop just because you look away.